Okay, so for this first part of this, I'm going to go through Unit 2 module packet, or Unit 2 packet. So I'll go through some of the problems, and if you have questions, you can write me back. You want to find, if you'll pause the video and read this, then we'll do it together. So after you have read that, you should know that if you take $10 off, it is going to give you the same price on this pair of shoes as if you took 15% off. Okay. So in class we did this problem as well, and we said let X equals the price of the shoes before the discount. So if this is what you interpreted, which is the correct interpretation of all this up here, then the discounted price, if I took $10 off, would be X minus 10. That would be the price of the shoes. But we know that's equivalent to if I take 15% off. A lot of people want to do X minus 0.15. And that is not correct, because that is the price of the shoes minus 15 cents, essentially. So what you want to do is you want to take 15% off the original price. So you have to multiply the original price by 0.15 to get 15% of that, and then take it away from X. It says, how much did the pair of shoes cost? Okay, so we have to find the price of the shoes. So if you're solving for X here, you want to know the price of the shoes. First thing I would do is clean this up, and 1X minus 0.15X is 0.85X. And then I would subtract 1, and 0.85 minus 1 is going to be negative 0.15X. And then to solve for X, you divide by negative 0.15 and do the math. So you will have the calculator for your test. So you could just put that in. You can put it in exactly as it looks there. And you get $66.67. Okay, so the price of the shoes originally was $66.67. The price you paid discount-wise would be $56.67. Okay. All right. Task 2, we did this one in class 2, but for some people, they might not have been there. Pause the video and read that if you need to. But what this says is there's 3 girls, and they downloaded a total of 36 songs. The girls were Jane, Tracy, and Inez. Well, I reversed those. Let's just go this way. Inez and Tracy. It doesn't matter, but I like to keep them in the same order. So if you look at these, remember that J doesn't stand for the person Jane. It's Jane's number of songs. And the same thing with here. It's the number of songs that she would have. And what we know is that J plus I plus T is going to equal 36, because they have a total of 36 songs. You want to know how many each downloaded, and you can't do that with knowing that many unknowns, so you got to relate them. But you know that Jane downloaded twice as many as Inez. So Jane's number of songs would equal 2 times the amount that Inez has. Tracy wanted to have the most, so she downloaded 1 more than Jane. So Tracy's number of songs would be Jane's songs plus 1. So looking at this, I could replace J with 2I because I know Jane has twice as many as Inez. And what that does, it starts the process of allowing me to solve because I have two things that can go together there to be 3I. If I could make that one another I, then I could solve for it. So T equals J plus 1. And you really just need to see how all these work together. And then what does J equal again? J is 2I. So that would make sense that Tracy wanted one more than Jane, but Jane had twice as many as Inez. So twice as many as Inez plus another amount of I, right? Oh, no, that's not an I, I'm sorry. The J plus 1. J plus 1. So one more than twice as many as Inez would be how many Tracy had. So now the process becomes a lot easier because now I have 3 I's that can go together, whereas up here nothing could. So I have 5I plus 1 equals 36. And then when I subtract 1 from both sides, I get 35, and I equals 7. So what that allows me to do, if Inez has 7, then that means Jane has 2 times 7, which is 14. And Tracy has 14 plus 1, which is 15. So 7 plus 14 plus 15 has to be 36. So 7, 14, and 15 are how much Inez has 7, Jane has 14, and Tracy has 15. Okay. Looking over this, you will have some, let me scroll back up here. You are going to have some like the ones I went over, just task 1 is a big deal. There'll be a little bit, I'll show you the problems that you did on your quizzes and stuff, but you'll have one like this. You'll have one like this. And you're also going to have some like these. It's going to give you a scenario and then just ask you to interpret the meaning of the expression. So if you want to try to do those, that would be some good practice for you. But you just have to understand what N is the number of gallons of gas, and then if it costs $3.25 per gallon, then this expression would give you the total amount of money you spent on gas. Okay, these right here, if it says determine whether the given value is a solution or not, all you have to do is plug it in. So for example, if this is a solution, when I plug it in for x, I'm going to get a true statement. So 2 plus 2, 2 is being plugged in, equals 2 squared plus 4. This is going to be 4 equals 4 plus 4, and 4 equals 8. That is not true. So 2 is not a solution. And this one, be careful with these because it has a negative. So if I plug it in, I have negative 2 plus 2 equals negative 2 squared minus 4. Put parentheses around the negative especially. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0. And then negative 2 squared, if you put that in the calculator, you have to put parentheses around it. You're going to get 4 minus 4, which equals 0 as well. So that is a solution because this is a true statement. Okay. So that's how those work. You will have some that just say solve. So if I said 3x plus 1 equals 7 and said solve for x, you would subtract 1 and then divide by 3. Okay, and we talked about the different kinds you could have there. If I gave you an example like 5x plus 10, and then I gave you 5x plus 2 and said to solve, and then you would go ahead and distribute this first. Okay, and I'll strongly suggest that you move the variables first. So a lot of you will subtract 10, and that just gets you confused. If you take this 5 away from this side to move it over here, do the actual math that's there. 5x minus 5x is 0. Nothing is left over here. So 10 is the only thing, and 5x minus 5x goes away as well, and you have 10. Now when you get to a true statement and there's no variables, you're finished. If I get to a true statement like this, this means all real numbers. That's the solutions. Any number you pick in the whole wide world would make that true. Something else might look like this. If I did this, and again, you want to move your variables first. So when I distribute there, I would move this, and this would go away, this would go away, and I have 10 equals negative 10. That's a false statement. So that means no solutions. That means no number in the whole wide world could make that true. So you'll have some like the ones I showed you in this task, task 4. But you'll also have some that one will have an answer of all reals, one will have an answer of no solutions, and more than likely one will have an answer of 0. So if I had 5x plus 10 equals 4x plus 10. Move the variable first, so I have 4x. So I have x left over here plus 10 equals 10. And then if I subtract 10, I get 0. And that's okay. That's the answer. 0 can be a solution. Okay. Task 5, it will not have this. It'll just say solve. So I just went over those. Get the x to one side and the numbers on the other. Equivalent or not, you will have some of these. Task 6. So task 6 is something you need to look at. And what you need to look at is how you get from one thing to the other. So someone asked me if they could go from here to here or here to here, and the answer is yes. So as long as you can show that this right here would be equivalent to this. And how you show that is you notice that the negative 2 is missing here. So how would I get rid of this negative 2 over here? Is I would add 2x. You would get 7 plus 7x equals 3. So that gives me exactly what I got there. So that would be equivalent because I can manipulate this to give me this one. This one, same thing. You notice that the 3 is gone. Well, if you have 3 times something, remember you can divide by 3. And then it would cross out over on the left side and give you 5 on the right. So you can see that x minus 4 is what I got here and here. But these are different, so they can't be equivalent. But you have to show this work. You have to show me that you're adding 2x to get credit. All right. Task 7 you wouldn't have to do. Task 8, do not look at. I will not give you any of those. Task 9, these are just word problems. So you'll have a few word problems. Work your way through those. These are the ones I want you to pay special attention to because you will have some like this that will include the percentages and the sales tax. So look back at those. Literal equations you will have as well. If it says, for example, if it says solve for h here, here's a h, you divide by w on both sides. So a over w equals h. If you are solving for h here and you got 2 things being multiplied, all you got to do is divide by both of those at the same time. They would go away and leave you with h equals v over pi r squared. Again, task 12, the same thing, you will have some of these and they'll just say to solve for a specific variable. And you won't have any like task 13, I will not give you tables. 17 is word problems. You are going to have some word problems that you need to do. You can look at those, read over them. You will have some like task numbers 18, where it says, and again, these will say solve. So this is just like an equation. You would distribute these through and then simplify. So -3 and -8 would be -11. And 7 plus 24 will be 31. And 31 minus 12 will be 19. It's greater than or equal to 7. Then you would subtract 19 and get -11x is greater than or equal to -11. And then you would divide by -11. So this right here would cross out. This would become 1. And this means the inequality sign would change. The inequality sign will change because you divided by -11. When you divide by a negative, you flip the inequality sign. So that would be your answer. You will have some like that. And that's it for Unit 2. Might want to go back and look at your quizzes and your test. We looked at these as a group in class as well. But Module 2 test looks something like this. And again, I'm not going to put these directions. It'll just say solve for that variable. Okay. Module 2, Lesson 4 quiz. You should have something like right here as a quiz. This is a 3-question quiz. Find those, look at them. I will take these problems right here and rework them for your final. So it won't be the same words, it won't be the same numbers, it might not be the same exact way to do them, but it will be very similar. So that is Unit 2.